G'day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tommy Kendi, and welcome to the Tommy Kendi Unfiltered podcast. It is a epic episode on this one. It's a especially epic episode because I've got one of my mentors coming on the podcast on this episode, and her name is Masha Gorodilova. She is such an epic goddess of a woman, and she's one of those people that I don't think she even realizes how many people's lives she impacts and changes, and how much she has a hand in the way people transform. She's a yoga teacher. She's an epic mum, a friend to so many people, but really she's just a person that holds. It's almost like, if you've ever met Masha, it's like every time you meet her, she sits on her throne, but she doesn't even know she sits on a throne. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Masha Gorodilova.
Wow, what an intro. It made my heart jump before you started to label me. I'm like, okay, where is this going to go? But thank you for your kind words, and it's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's so cool to have you. And Masha, you know what? The real reason, I sort of wanted to get you on is that it's weird. Like with you, you have such an impact in the wellness community, and it's like the way I observe you is that you just walk around and you've got this strength and power, but it's like I want to know more. It's like every time I leave your presence, I'm like, I just want to know more. And so I thought that probably the best way to do that is to get you on the podcast so I can ask you questions.
Go for it.
So,
I'll try not to be too Russian.
No, so in terms of being Russian, I mean, what you've obviously had a pretty epic journey coming out to Australia. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that happened and how you ended up being in Australia?
Sure. It goes way back many, many years ago. And all these years that I've been in Australia, I'm trying to unpack and peel the layers of the onion and become almost less Russian and more open and less KGB. But it comes out in the most interesting ways. So we'll see how it unfolds. So I came to Australia at the age of 17. My mum sent me here for a better future. I grew up in Russia, Siberia. Really cold, dark place, really little opportunity and a lot of trouble, if you know what I mean. So my mum kind of kicked me out of here and she goes, go try a better life. So I came here with zero money, zero English, no friends or family. And I think then I became a woman. From 17, I kind of went, okay, I've got to figure this thing out called life. So quickly.
So your mum literally just put you on a plane, no money, nothing, and just said, you're going to Australia.
And she bought me a one-way ticket because she knew my personality. Because I'm a Gemini as well, same as you. So like, I'm going to kick and scream and get my way. And she goes, I'm smarter than you. So she sent me a one-way ticket. Number one, we couldn't afford. Number two, she knew I needed to stay here for longer. And now I'm a mum, and to see what my mum did for me, it was very selfless. Do you know what I mean? So I came here, found accommodation. I was living with this German lady. She was really strange. She was sleeping, I'll never forget. I was young, I was 17, but she was sleeping in between two mattresses. So I'll walk past her place, and we were staying in this dark place in Hawthorne. And I will walk past her bedroom and I'll look in, and her name was Uma, and she would be sleeping between two fat mattresses. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Anyway, so you know what I mean. I had to think on my feet. I had to grow up. I got a job as a fishmonger. I don't know how they gave me the job.
What's a fishmonger? I don't even know what that is.
A lot of people ask. It's a person that cleans the fish and sells the fish. Like at the markets.
Yeah.
And it was like,
how much did you get paid for that?
$18, and for me, an hour, and for me it was such big money. I don't know how I got the job, Tommy. I couldn't speak a word. I smiled a lot, and I had charisma, but I couldn't speak English. And you got to sell something. So I'm like, I don't know the name of this fish, and the customers will come in and like, what do you think of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know, I'm vegetarian. I don't know how I got away with it. And then every time, like, I started to kind of date and try to go out on the scene, and I will go on a date or some salsa dancing, and I will be downstairs in a shop scrubbing my hands so that I don't smell like fish. Because I was so embarrassed, I would wear the only clothes I had, my fingers and my hands stunk of fish, but I still wanted to give life a go. So I had a lot of courage, and I had a lot of courage. This is what I think got me through these dark times, because I hated Australia. I couldn't speak English, and people couldn't understand me. And as soon as people kind of start to have a conversation with you and you can't talk, they assume you are not so smart and they put you in this box. But I was trying so hard to say something. So I was reading kids' books. I was trying to talk to my foreign international students. And little by little, I kind of fell in love with Australia and go, okay, right, I can actually make it work. So I've started from zero, slept on the floor, became friends with this Colombian chick, and she was an engineer in Bogota. And here we are, sleeping on the floor, sharing meals. But somehow through dark times, you come out and like, listen, don't sweat the small stuff. And I think that's why I'm still here, and I love life.
Man, what a story! And so through those times when, because it's funny, I've had a few type of like yogis on that have come onto the podcast, and I'm so intrigued to find out about lessons from the dark times, because I know in my own life, when I've been through dark times, they've been the most magical times, because when shit hits the fan, I always try and think back to those times and go, fuck, it's actually not that bad right now. I've been in worse situations than this. So in those times where you can literally say you started from nothing, what were the question is, were those the times that built this strength in you?
I think it was always tough. I think as a little girl, I was a troublemaker. I was always a little bit like, don't tell me no, because I will find another way. And I remember at school in Siberia, I was street smart. But when I came here, I kind of got dropped into this ocean. And sometimes it was really stormy, sometimes it was really calm. But go back to those days when I was 17, 18. We were sleeping on the floor with my girlfriend Gina. Had nothing, no money, no language, but somehow we tried to communicate between the Russian and the Spanish. And then she was cleaning offices at night. I was cleaning fish during the day. So I'd go to work. Sounds funny, doesn't it? I'd go to work and I open the fridge and she'll put a little note, something, have a great day, or I love you, to remind that life is actually good. And I will never forget it. You open the fridge and there's a little note from Gina. It says, have a good day. I made some beans and rice for you. I'm like, fuck, what am I complaining about? And then back then I met an amazing person called James that became my husband at the time. And he was really positive. He was just get up and go rather than whinge and complain and play a violin. I'm almost 40 and life has changed and got different relationships, kids, businesses, whatever else. But I always remember those little moments where I go, just enjoy the small things, a little note on a little takeaway container, have a great day. I don't know, I still try to do it to this day. I'm less romantic this way these days, but it's the small things. It's the, they call it mindfulness now. It's when you walk, when you drive. Try not to distract yourself. Try to be fully in the moment. And now with kids, seeing them play or seeing them laugh without a reason makes me go, why am I so serious? What's going on with this serious face? So you just try to go, listen, let's play, let's be creative, let's risk. Risk creates this passion in life, I think. Just go, you don't know what's going to happen. But let's jump off the cliff. And if we hurt ourselves, we dust it off and we keep moving, rather than sitting on the fence going, what if I jump? What happens? Do you know what I mean?
And is there a time in that you can remember when you did jump and you did hurt yourself?
So many times. So many times.
What's one that really sticks out?
Well, it's the recent one. I think it's within.
Yeah.
You know,
Which I did
we've
mention at
gone-
the start, but Masha is one of the founders of the founder of Retreat Within Yoga Studio. If you're in Melbourne, it's in South Yarra. If you're in Melbourne and you do yoga, you've definitely heard about Within. So Masha is the brains and the heart behind that. But yeah, tell us, that little leap of faith with the studio.
You know what? To be honest, I don't think I'm the brains and the heart of Within. I think people that work there, including you and some other amazing teachers, create the heartbeat. I do nothing. It's different. I've opened the door and people that have entered gone, whoa, you've created your own beat. I've got goosebumps talking about it. But at the time I was living in South Yarra, and everyone, the whole world has gone through dark times, and I felt like everyone felt like needed connection, wanted to practice together, but everyone was scared. So just to go past the place where Within is, there was an art gallery and a big sign of for lease. I looked in going, looks simple, looks beautiful, why not? And when we opened the doors, people were still hesitant. People go, oh, I want to practice with other people, but I'm not sure because there's a lot of fear, which is understandable. But at the end of the day, I think we're all people, we want connection, we want to hug, we want to sweat together. And it was a big leap. A few people were saying, do not open the doors, people will not come back because everyone's online. And yes, people are online, but at the same time, you cannot fake the feeling you get when you practice together. You would agree.
Oh, it's one of the... I remember the last time where I felt the vibe of what has been created at Within was when I used to live in LA, and I used to go to this Kundalini yoga class like 3 times a week, and the energy in there, like you walk in and you feel the heartbeat of the place, you know, and that is what's been created at Within. Whether you think you just sort of haven't done much about it, it's at the end of the day, that's your essence. You know, what you've created there is your essence. And yeah, of course, you've brought teachers in and all the, you know, the students that come, but students come because ultimately it's your heart and soul. You can feel it when you walk in. You know, it's like, and it's not a bad thing to think or say. It's like, it's fucking Masha's studio. Like all the teachers are honoured to be there and share and all that type of stuff. But it's like the power in that studio is so fucking cool.
But I'm grateful to my previous studio, Happy Melon, too. I feel like I was a baby back in the days when we opened in 2015. Yeah. I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to change people. I was trying to lead it my way, but my way was not right. And I'm like, I remember banging my head against the wall going, how come it's not happening the way I want it to? So Happy Melon taught me a lot, and Simon has created a beautiful community, and it's still going, and I'm really proud what he's doing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You're part of both, and I think that little pulse, the heartbeat that created, continues. And I always talk about ripple effect. At the end of the day, what you do on the mat, it doesn't matter. If you can do a handstand or a child's pose, it's what you do outside of the yoga mat. And I think you were talking about strength and this, for the lack of a better word, power. But I think you carry that into the day, and you walk down the street and people look at you going, what's going on here? It's the shine in your eyes that I see. It's the little bit of a skip in the step of people that leave the room. I'm like, you're going to have a good day. And it's the magic of yoga,
Yeah.
you know.
And you know what? I wanted to actually ask you that about...
Probably we don't do enough of. But that little formula creates this spanda, that energy that radiates and pulsates. Even if you think you had a shit practice, I think it's just like putting a deposit into a bank, and your bank gets richer. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's so true. And you know what? On that on strength, right? Because this is what I really see with you, Masha, is that even though you have strength, you have this level of vulnerability at the same time. You've got like this really cool little balance, but I think what people really are drawn to with you is the strength, but it's not a strength where it's not like a Hitler, like a Nazi, or not, you know what I mean, like a dictator strength. It's like a strength that's fueled by vulnerability. And I love it when I meet people, like I can connect with people that you can see the pain and the wisdom behind their eyes, and that's, I think, what people really warm to with you. And if we're talking about the general population, most people are quite scared to dive into that pain or into that. Most people are scared to dive into that vulnerability and pain. How do you do it?
Tough question. I used to have a friend and she came to Happy Melon and she started yoga and she became a really good yogi, and her life changed upside down. She changed relationships, she changed jobs, and it was a big roller coaster for her. And she looked at me once and she goes, I wish I never found yoga, because yoga cracked me up, opened me out, and changed everything in my life. I think because yoga started so early for me. I was 13 in Russia, practicing with my dad in the living room. And in Russia we didn't have yoga. We had movement, sitting and breathing, which is asana, pranayama, meditation. It's almost in my skin. I brush my teeth twice a day. I practice yoga, meditation every day. And I'm quite disciplined, and I think this is where the Russian discipline comes out. But it's a lot of work, Don't forget, I grew up in Russia. You grew up overseas too, you probably relate. Where it's cold. My dad, to this day, I'm about to turn 40, my dad to this day struggles to tell me I love you. He stutters and he can't. Maybe he has a glass of red wine and maybe he'll put a hand on my shoulder. That's a lot for him. And for me, I'm looking at my dad. I'm not looking at my dad. I've been away for so many years. But I kind of go, I don't want to be that. I want to tell my kids I love them. I want to tell people on the street that they wear beautiful dresses. I want to congratulate people that have worked so hard on an asana and then they kick it. I'm like, congratulations. Celebrate small stuff. And for me, it's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of stuff-ups where I go, oh, shouldn't have done that. But, call it karma, call it ripple effect, but every action has a reaction. Back in the days, I had a really amazing teacher, Johnny Pollard. I don't see him anymore because I'm more of a one-on-one person and he's moved away from Melbourne. And I came to him going, Johnny, I want to be a graceful leader. And he goes, sit down. And he kind of cracked my shell open going, are you graceful in your life outside of yoga, leading, business? And I was going through a little bit of a sticky period. He goes, fix that first. So once you fix the sticky period, what happens behind the door, you can fix the leadership, you can fix the grace. Not fix, but it's natural. You know what I mean? And for me, I learned from mistakes. I'm a doer. I don't sit on the side of the fence. I jump off. Go, fuck, that hurts. Let's not do that again. And when you hurt other people, when you do it with one person, you'll do it with another person. And that sensation, I've just come out from Vipassana, and in Vipassana they talk about it's a deep, transformational, silent retreat where you learn a technique of meditation that uses sensations in the body. And how Mr. Goenka, the teacher, the guru, has passed the teaching of the sensations, how you live your life through sensations. And I know I'm going off topic, but for example, I've spent my time doing Vipassana, struggle for 10 days. I couldn't wait to get out, and I got out on Sunday. and everything was roses. We were talking, I was talking to strangers, and I was seeing the green for the green, the blue for the blue. And then the next day I got an email. I was at home and I was checking emails, and the email was quite full on. And I remember sitting in front of my laptop, and the sensations, my whole body just went into a little bit of a shock. And I was sitting there, my hands started to get a little bit sweaty. I went, fuck, how do I deal with this? And I'm sitting there going, okay, one day ago, you were saying, blue is blue, everything's perfect, everything is a sensation. But then an email that got me off center in the matter of seconds. And I'm sitting there going, okay, right, this is the job, this is the work, how do you react? Do you tell this person where to go? Or do you tell this person, please don't do more meditation? Or do you go work on yourself another 10 days and then you reply to that email? It's really interesting how life throws surprises at you really quickly. And I was sitting there on my own, there was no external, well, the email was external, I guess. And that reaction happens really quickly. I'm like, oh, here we go, back to school. So it's a daily practice of vulnerability, going, all right, how am I going to deal with this? Sometimes you don't have a moment to react or think. With emails, you can sit back and think. But sometimes something happens on the street where you have to react. And I think meditation, asana, and all the connections you make through life build you up to that moment. And the vulnerability is honest, and I'm working on it. Like I said at the start, I'm trying to peel those layers of the onion to get to the core, to the light, to the truth, to the love. And that it's a daily, not struggle, I don't want to be negative, but it's a daily process of looking into my kids' eyes, putting my phone away at a certain moment, treating people with kindness rather than, I know better, I used to be like that. I tried to be less like that. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah.
I feel like I went into
No,
a
you
tantrum,
definitely answered the question, and it's funny because as you were talking, I've always been incredibly conflict averse. So I'm like, if there's conflict, I'm fucking out of there, you know. And it's the more that I'm observing how much I fucking hate being in conflict, the more conflict comes at me, right? And so I've been practicing this, I reckon, for at least 12 to 18 months, where I've got this mantra where if I find myself in conflict and I'm right there and I just want to run, my mantra is, here we fucking go, just experience. And similar to Vipassana, the meditation you just did, you've got to experience all the stuff in the body, how it comes up, and you're like, oh, what? You don't know what to say. You're trying to find a way out. There's so much going on, and you're just like, here we go, just fucking experience. That's my only job. And it's
So
work.
are you learning from it? How's it going for you?
It's going really well, because what I'm finding, not just in a verbal conflict, but even in any type of sticky situation, is that the more you force, the more intense it becomes. And this idea, which we learn so much of in yoga and in meditation, is just fucking let go. Just let go. Because I see it as this thing of, like, you know, tug of war. If you're using tug of war with someone, if you let go of the rope, they're fucking going to fall back. It doesn't, but there's no other option. They have to fall back. So if you don't give someone or a situation pull, then it just has to work out. And at some point, it's always going to make sense. And maybe it never will, but that's what I find, is that I'm constantly practicing this idea of not wanting to fix and just letting it be as it is. And it works really well because I always find that it shows me so much quicker of where the situation was meant to go to, or where the conversation was meant to go to, because I'm not pulling on it. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, that's where it was supposed to go. There you go.
So do you believe in destiny? Do you think everything has already been designed and planned for us?
I believe that we all have our individual destinations. I believe that it's not a destiny, but I believe that there's a certain lesson we're all meant to get in this lifetime. And it's up to us how we get to those lessons. We either get them really quick or it takes a while. And I believe that we do come back time and time again. And, you know, one of my first mentors, this guy, Guru Singh, I remember one of the things he said in one of the first classes, he was talking about multiple lives and all that type of stuff. And he said, be very, very careful what you do in this lifetime, because the next lifetime you might come back as a rock at the bottom of the ocean. And I was like, I don't want to come back as a rock at the bottom of the ocean. I want to fix everything now.
I speak for us, you and I feel like we like to dance with danger. And we kind of go, oh, I'm going to tip my foot into this lake and see what happens. So what are we meant to do? Are we meant to sit on the side of the lake and kind of let life happen? This is my struggle with meditation sometimes, because they teach you to let go, not to change. The destiny is destiny. Just enjoy the moment. But sometimes I'm like, ooh, this looks good. I want to try it. So are we stuffing our path that has already been planned, and we transition into a different life, hopefully not a rock on the bottom of the ocean? So I'm like, sometimes I get confused. Yeah. Do I let it go and let life run through me, past me, or do I get in that lake and I'm like, I'm going to get burnt, but I'm going to try it? I'm sure you're the same. So what are we meant to do, Tommy?
You know what? I find this is a really good. This is also a couple of lessons I've learned over the last couple of years. One is like there's two different. I find there's two different motivations. So let's say you're in a group of people and they're gossiping about someone that's not there, right? And I've been that person that's got involved, and it feels so fucking good to talk shit about someone else, because it's like, yeah, and how's that when they did this and that, and fuck, how could you, like they don't know shit, they're not this or they're not that. So there's that type of motivation, which is really easy to get, and it feels good. But then there's also, I find this other type of, I don't know why I'm using motivation, or a call to something where it's scary, but it's that leap of faith where you're like, you don't have to tell anyone about it. There's no one else involved. But like the way you started within, there was this little seed, and you're like, like this is too scary. And then you followed that seed and everything came together. And going from having two people in the classes in the early days to now having full classes, like 40, 45 people in that studio. And I'm sure you would still look out at that 40, 45 people and go, oh my God, this is fucking epic.
Definitely. So I'm just looking away. I felt like it was disconnected, but I think we're still online.
Yeah. Did you hear what I said then?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It humbles me and scares me, even having 40 people in the class. It's like,
it's massive.
But what's next? What's next? But at the same time, I close my eyes and I'm like, if I change one person's, not life, that's too big of a statement, but if they fall in love with yoga and themselves the same way as you and I have, my job is done. And, we have an interesting job. We go in, we say, oh, hello, Tom. Oh, hello, Emma. We have no idea what they do outside of yoga. They get on a mat, start moving like crazy, walk out, sweaty, going, thanks, Tommy, thanks, Masha. Like, I have no idea what you do. I was talking to a hairdresser friend of mine. He goes, I'm the opposite. People for 3 hours sit there and tell them everything about their lives.
Yes.
For us, we know nothing about these people. One is a doctor, the other one is a labourer, but they all come together as this heartbeat that we were talking about at the start of the practice. And I'm like, what do I know? Why are you here? What do I know? I stand in the corner and go, okay, let's go. I'm not sure where it's going, but this labourer and the doctor, they all try to marinate into the same recipe, and somehow it comes out delicious most of the time.
It does. Yeah, it does. And isn't that funny? Because that's so true. Because usually when you meet someone, one of the first questions is, oh, yeah, so what do you do? Whereas at a yoga studio, you're just like, hey, I see you. We're about to do some stuff. Move around the mat, do some shizzle, and then high five and get out of there, sweaty and whatnot. And that's the thing. It's this whole thing about community it's so lacking in. I've really noticed the lack of community in people and just in life in general. But I see how people crave it. When you came out of Vipassana, that meditation, and you just saw blue for blue, red for red, whatever it was. When I see people at the moment just walking past them in the street, I see a lot of pain and anger and I'm not generalizing because not everyone's like that, but just it's sort of a pain and anger. It's more disconnection from what's actually going on now. And it's scary of where this could go.
Yeah, but you also find your community, find your people. I don't want to be that person to separate them and us. I'm trying to find the bridge, and I think within and yoga does it. That's why we don't ask what you do outside of the yoga practice. I've done a really good job at separating in the last 3 years and say, they do this and I do this. And it doesn't make me feel like a better person. And I'm like, oh, what can I do to bridge it? For example, and I'm not saying I'm bloody innocent, but the other day I was driving and this lady was really angry. And somehow the traffic at me, apparently I did something wrong. And somehow the traffic kind of organized itself and we parked next to each other. And I wind down the window and I had my kids in the car. My kids are little, they're 5 and 3, so they're watching everything I do or say. And I wind down the window and instead of going really inappropriate language, I went, you must be having a really bad day. My heart was pumping, Tommy, because she was quite rude. And I'm like, I don't want to teach my kids rudeness. So I don't think I did anything wrong, but it's regardless what I did or didn't do. It's that feeling, and between you and I, my heart was just going to, she's going to smash me, she's going to come out and punch me. But because I was in a good space, it doesn't always happen. I just wind down the window, I'm like, excuse me, you must be having a really good day. And you can see her whole face just went, well, don't tell me how to live my life. And she totally spinned it around and took off. I'm like, oh, I think I was on the money. So when you're having a shit day and you take it out on somebody else, I was in a good space. I'm like, do you want a hug? Do you want a donut? Like, what do you want?
Hug it out,
like,
baby.
you can shoot bullets at me, but I ain't got bullets. Like, I only have love and I just want to hug you. So it's just like, this is the connection, and what you said before is completely right, the anger, the fear. But I don't want to buy into it. And it doesn't always happen. When shit goes wrong, I buy into fear and I'm angry and I'm shooting bullets. But I'm trying to do everything I can not to shoot bullets. Just to go, okay, what do you have? I'll take it. If I don't take it, I'll do some therapy.
Yeah. And what I'd be interested, through this your little process of life that you've got to so far. You're at a wise old age of 40, and what would you say would be 3 key elements, not that you live by, but 3 key elements that you can really call yourself, like you can, 3 key elements where you can call yourself on your own bullshit.
Say it again. So 3 key elements to...
So 3 key... Okay, no, I'll rephrase that because that was a really shit way of asking a question.
No, I want to answer honestly. That's why I'm looking away going, all right, let's go into...
What's... Actually, I'll ask it that way. What's 3 ways that you call yourself on your own bullshit?
I think I'm really body. If I feel it through my body, the sensations that something is right or not right, this is my first call to action. For example, I go into within, it's an art gallery, and I have butterflies. I'm like, oh shit, that means call to action, I'm going to do it. And if I go into a dinner party and there's a person in the corner, and I'm like, oh, something is off with this person, I will not go to that person. And I feel it in my body, it's a body reaction. Number 2, just treat people with love. And if you don't have love, maybe don't talk. Sometimes it's really easy to just go attack and think that everybody else is wrong.
How hard is it?
Yeah.
How hard is it not to talk? Oh. It's like...
Well, after Vipassana, you kind of learn 10 days of silence. Kind of go, I don't have to say anything. It won't change anything. I think to myself, will it change the situation? No. This person have made their opinion. They have made their mind. Who am I to change it? Just nod and listen and probably take off really, really quickly. And yeah, it's just like... And the last one, it's non-negotiable for me. It's the map. The map is your mirror, the yoga mat. I mean, the map is your mirror. The map is your educator. If you start to fluff around, you look down and you're down dog. I'm like, oh, it's only me and my head and my sensation. No one is responsible for my happiness. So go back, like I was saying before, go back into the school and do some more training, teaching, studying, therapy. You've got more work to do. You know, you point fingers at somebody else, but the other 4 fingers are point back at you. So it always goes back to you. And we're trying our hardest to tame, work the mind. The body is easy. We can do an asana class and we can do 10 push-ups. That's easy. It's the mind, wherever it lives in the body. That's the real work that I'm committed to do for the next 60 years. Oh, God, Jesus. That's a long time.
So good. So good. You know what's funny? As you were saying that, I went to Within this morning to do a yoga class, and I was in Emma's class, and I was in downward dog, and eyes open, downward dog, and I'm in my practice. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm in, right? And Emma's like, lift your right leg to the sky, and then I saw this student behind me, and the way she lifted her right leg was literally like a boing, like straight up, you know? And I remember looking, going, oh my God, like, just be present. Like, you know, why do you have to fling your leg up like that? And I was flat out fucking judging her to the max, right? For her not being present. I just started laughing at myself, going, wow, oh my God, calling the kettle black. Fuck me, dude.
Oh,
and then I just came straight back to the breath. Yeah. It was so funny. And it's true, exactly what you said. Wait, what was the second thing you said? It's like always take responsibility for your happiness, for what you create in the world, for what you create in your life. That is... such a big one for me as well.
And I believe call it, sorry to interrupt, but some people call it selfish. Like I caught up with a girlfriend this morning. She goes, Masha, you give your health and your wellness so much time because I'm considered to be busy. And I'm like, if I don't do it, I'm not a nice person. And it's like, I want to be a better mom, leader, partner, friend. And I'm sure you're the same. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish, I think. I think it's selfless because you can give so much more when you give yourself a lot of time. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all along the same path, and it's true. It's when you take responsibility for your own happiness, your own life, your own everything, then it's very hard to play victim, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like when something happens and you play the blame game, it's not really going to cut it, is it?
It just doesn't change anything because you're going to do the same thing to the next person. Do I want to do it? No. Oh my God, got to do the work.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Masha, so good to have you on. I love chatting to you. Is there, I don't know, if you were to impart any words of wisdom for the unfiltered potty listeners, what would they be anymore? Because we've talked about so much, but what's like something for you that you wish you knew when you were 20?
Have fun. We get so serious, so many responsibilities. I often finish my class, namaste and misbehave. Just do something fun, be a kid. Yes, responsibilities are important, but goddamn, I look back and I used to do some wild stuff that I think that I won't get away with now. And I'm like, okay, so I'm 40, so I'm this and this, all these labels. So what? I want to have fun, I want to be present, I want to eat well, drink well, dance well, and I want to do lots of good things for other people, like yoga, meditation, open places, catch up, give time to people that need it, because life is so precious. I was crossing the road the other day and the lady was talking about the tragedy that happened not long ago in Sydney. She's like, oh, so close. And I just look at her going, life is so short. Live it now. Tell people you love them, because tomorrow they'll be gone. So this is my only, I've got goosebumps. Just live life, hug people, love people, do my yoga, and just be, we're losing passion. We're becoming a little bit numb. And I feel like ramping it up will make life more colourful.
So true.
Yeah.
Ramping it up.
Yeah.
Oh, Marsh, so good to have you on, Marsha. Thank you so much for coming on. And there's so much more going on. And guys, I'm going to put, obviously if you're in Melbourne, and you haven't been to Within Yoga Studio in South Yarra yet, fucking get your ass down there. It's such an epic studio. I teach there. Marsha teaches there. We've got some great teachers. And other than that, I'll put. Can I put your Instagram details on the podcast notes? Yep. So you can follow Marsha, follow her journey, follow Within. I'll put that in the podcast notes. And yeah, any of your problems moving forward, just hit up Marsha and she'll have all the answers.
Thanks, Tommy. But I could talk to you forever. You've been a rock star, and I feel so grateful to have you in my life. So thank you for inviting me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, so good, Marsh. So good to have you on. And I'll talk to you later.
See you tomorrow on the mat. Shoot stuff.